Hello, hello. You're tuned in to SOS, and I'm your host, Tamina, and this is officially episode 2, which is my favorite topic. It's the end of January. We're going into the month of what? The month of love. It's all about love, and we're going to be talking about that because that's my favorite topic. But don't get it twisted. My favorite topic is self-love, and that's what we're going to be talking about. So this episode is for you, especially if you've ever asked yourself certain questions. Questions like, what's self-love? Do I even have the capacity to love myself? Is self-love even really a thing, or it's just something people talk about? How do you even start to love yourself? And another question is the second one, because when you start loving yourself, society looks at you like, how dare you? How dare you love yourself, you know? How dare you put yourself first? And so that's why we're going to also be answering the question, is self-love selfish? We'll find out what to call this as we go along, because I was having these intrusive thoughts, as you know, at 3 a.m., wrote them down in my notes app and came here to yap, as we do. So let's talk about it. Actually, let's just talk about it, and let's start with the first question, which is, what is self-love? Is it really a thing? Do you even have the capacity to love yourself? This is my favorite thing. Oh my God, because I had such a 3 a.m. revelation, and I'm so excited to tell you about it. Okay, so growing up, self-love wasn't something that was talked about very often, especially because I grew up in a very Kenyan African household, so you don't really hear a lot about self-love. The thing is, you mainly hear a lot about love. Let me tell you, you hear so much about love. Even when you're young, it's like it's in all the fairy tales, it's in all the movies, they always talk about love. Love is this powerful force. Love is the most powerful force in the universe. They're always yapping and talking about true love's kiss. Every single fairy tale is about love, isn't it? I feel like, because I was a fairy tale girl, I feel like I watched all the fairy tales, watched all the movies, and all of them just had this message about how love is so powerful. It's such a powerful force. And yeah, but it isn't talked about too much, you know? The other thing I was trying to think about is, when is the first time I ever had of self-love? And the funny thing is, I've had of self-love, I just didn't know at the time because nobody really talked about that. It was bypassed a little bit quickly, and that was in Sunday school. So in church, there was always this scripture they would read us, and it's the one for, we were left with 2 commandments, and the first one was love your God, and the second one was love your neighbor as you love yourself. Now, I'm not that religious right now. I'm more spiritual, and we'll talk about that another day. We can't talk about that today. That's a whole episode. But when I was thinking about this verse later, someday randomly, I was thinking about it and I was like, wait, they said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. Meaning, to be able to love your neighbor, you need to love yourself. And that was the first time self-love was talked about, I think, at a very young age, but I didn't know. Because nobody really ever expounded on that one. It was always just like, okay, yeah, love your neighbor as you love yourself, but what does that really mean? It means you have to have the capacity to love yourself and then love your neighbor? Or does it mean you have to fill your cup first so you can be able to fill somebody else's cup? Whatever it means, my interpretation is that self-love is important even when you're trying to love other people. Self-love is important so that you can have the capacity to love other people. So that was just me just giving context of how self-love is a thing. It just hasn't been talked about. And now going back to the movies, right? Going back to the fairy tales. I feel like the movies and the fairy tales really concentrated on romantic love. I feel like this is why, as a society, we yearn for romantic love. You know what I mean? Like, it's always such a yearning, and everybody wants to find the one, and everybody wants to find the love of their lives. And this is not bad. I'm not even saying this is bad at all. It's quite cute, actually. You know, I'm a lover girl. But I feel like we over-concentrated on romantic love and didn't really talk about self-love, knowing that self-love is just so important, even for romantic love. Now, let me talk about that a little bit more, because I'm a radical self-lover, and so I love to yap about self-love. So hear me out, hear me out. The fact that society concentrates so much on romantic love, and there's all these narratives about romantic love, you know, when they say love is blind, they say love makes you go crazy. We witness so many situations in which love makes people go crazy. So here's my thing. Think about that partner. Just think about that partner. I know you know. I know you know, okay? And you can feel free to tell me, slow down, Savannah, at any time. Unfortunately, I won't slow down though. I won't slow down. So here's the thing. Think about that partner. I know you know which partner I'm talking about. Think about that partner. So the wild thing to me is there's always that partner who you believe in their potential more than their reality, even when their reality is not reflecting their potential. There's always that partner you've given 101 chances. There's always that one partner you've forgiven after they've done the worst thing to you, right? Maybe it's not even one partner, maybe it's many partners. So let's think about that. There's always a partner you've given 100 chances to, you've forgiven for very bad, wild things they've done to you. You have believed in their potential more than their reality. You have believed in their dreams more than you believe in your own. And it's so interesting to me because they always say, love makes you blind. Love makes you do crazy things. And that's fine. My thing is, can we apply this to ourselves? Because that shows you that you have the capacity to love somebody that much. You then have the capacity to love yourself that much. Because imagine a world where you love yourself so much that you believe in your potential more than your reality. Even when your reality isn't reflecting your potential, you still believe in your potential. A reality where you give yourself 100 chances, even after failure, where you forgive yourself for your mistakes. Are you seeing such a reality? Like, are you seeing how this could literally change your entire life and your entire self-concept? Because I feel like we do the opposite for ourselves. We don't forgive ourselves after our mistakes. We don't give ourselves chances after chances when we fail. We literally do not even believe in our potential. We just look at our reality and that's it. If our reality is this, we don't believe in our potential. We give up on our potential. Meanwhile, there's somebody over there you've believed in their potential more than their reality, have forgiven 100 times, have given 100 chances. Just a human being that you don't know anything about and you're putting that much love into them. You can put that love into yourself. That's the thing. I'm not even saying don't do that. Just put that love into yourself. For a minute, for a year, try it. Try it and see how it goes. Love yourself so radically that people are now like, oh my God. Self-love makes her do crazy things. And the crazy things are believing in yourself even when no one else is. Believing in yourself so much that it looks so crazy to other people. Being so delusional about your dreams that it looks crazy to other people. Giving yourself 100 chances even if you fail. Failure after failure, you just give yourself more and more chances. So that's what I mean by radical self-love, because the thing is, if you can love somebody else like that, it shows you that you have the capacity to love in that manner. And so if you have the capacity, you can love yourself like that, because that type of love is especially the love that is more of an action as opposed to a feeling, because somebody doing something to you, breaking your trust, and you forgive them and you continue to love them, that's an action. Right? So it shows you that you have the capacity to do this for yourself. I'm not saying you continue to do this in the romantic side, but I'm not here to talk about the romantic side today. Like, I'm just here to say you have the capacity to love yourself in such a manner as you love that toxic partner, as you love that bum ass person that you loved for years. You know, I'm just here to say that you have the capacity. That's what I mean. Like, this should teach you that you can. You can and you have. So you can do it for yourself. So that's the first thing for me that I wanted to talk about. It's like radical self-love, but for yourself. It's like knowing that love is such a powerful force, and you can also use that powerful force for yourself. You can also start learning to love yourself so powerfully, so radically, and I feel like that type of love would literally change your life. You know what I mean? Okay, so we've talked about that, and I love that. I love that so much. That was such a, I was in my bed 3 a.m. smiling because I was like, that's so cute. Like, I would want people to be like, Tamina loves herself so much, it's crazy. Like, she's just giving herself 100 chances. She's just forgiving herself for her mistakes. She's really just believing in herself so delusionally. Yeah, I love it. Honestly, I love it. Like, yeah. And what about it? You know what I mean? So, second thing, everyone is always like, but isn't this love selfish? Like, isn't choosing to put yourself first selfish? You know, that's like the whole, especially I feel like in Kenya, I feel like in Africa, self-love is viewed as such a, it's like, how dare you? Who do you think you are? What about ujamaa? What about community? You know, what about putting other people first? And so for that one, my answer to this, obviously, I feel like you already know what I'm going to say. I don't think self-love is selfish in the slightest bit. And here's my thing. Let me just give you a little example of why I think it's not selfish whatsoever. And it's just the analogy of, for example, let me give you an example. So every night when you go to bed, when you're anxious, when you're sad, when you're struggling with this, and that, I feel like as much as people can support you, you are very alone in your thoughts. In your mind, you're very alone. And that sounds sad, but at the same time, it's like just this realization that your mind is a direct reflection of you. Your mind is a direct reflection of how much you love yourself. How you react to situations is a direct correlation to how much you love yourself, right? So, how would you have the capacity to love others if you're in a state of complete and utter self-hate? Right? I know everyone is always like, you don't have to love yourself to love others. And I'm not talking about love as a feeling. And I feel like this is where it's like really good to differentiate love as an action and love as a feeling. And I like to think about love as an action. I'm not talking about feeling love for somebody. I'm not talking about the feeling of utter love and care that you have for somebody. I'm talking about the action, like showing up for somebody, caring for somebody, calling somebody, being there for somebody. It's very hard to be there for other people if you're not there for yourself. It's very hard to fill other people's cup when your cup is empty. And I feel like that's always been the confusion. It's like, no, I can love somebody even if I don't love yourself. Yes, as a feeling. It gets very tough to love other people and to show other people love when you don't love yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, if you don't fill yourself up, if you don't rest, if you don't do all these things, if you don't take care of yourself, it's going to be very hard to take care of others, to show up for others, and to be there for others. And so that's why I never think self-love is selfish. If you think of love as an action, I feel like you'll stop thinking self-love is selfish, because for you to be able to actually show people love, you do need to have taken care of yourself. You do need to have filled your cup as well. You do need to have energy and to have the capacity to then show other people love as you show yourself love. And I feel like that's why that was there. That's why they said, love your neighbor as you love yourself. It's like you have to take care of yourself, because if you're in a state of complete, let's say, sadness, tiredness, all these things, like, how will you show up for other people? It's going to feel like you're going crazy. You know what I mean? Like showing up for other people while you're dying inside, showing up for other people while you're literally so gone. Like you're literally so gone. How do you then show up for other people? So for me, I feel like that's always my answer to, is self-love selfish? It's like, trust me, when I'm filling myself up, when I'm resting, when I'm taking care of myself, when I'm filling my cup, I even feel excited to show up for other people. Not to say that I won't show up for you if I'm not at my best, and not saying that you can only show up for people when you're at your best, but you can show up for people better when you're also good, right? You can show up for people better when you're also good. I always say this. It's not a requirement. It's just better for you. It's like, yes, you can show up for people when you're not good. You can show up for people when you're low. But this isn't good for you either. You still need to remember yourself. So when you're thinking of taking care of yourself, just think about it, yeah, just like the cup. If you're able to pour into yourself, you'll be able to pour so much more into other people as well. So much more into other people as well. And that gets me excited. And that's why I'm like, self-love isn't selfish, because it's like you're filling yourself up so that even when you give to other people, you still have some left for yourself. And that makes me so happy. It's like you give to other people and you still have some left for yourself. And that's when you're in a good balance, you're in good harmony. Yeah, so you see why I love talking about self-love? Like, self-love is so cute, because the thing is, it's not only good for you, it's good for the people around you as well. You know what I mean? Like, we're not thinking from a scarcity, we're thinking from an abundance mindset. Like, if you're full of love and you fill yourself up with love and care, you're going to be able to fill other people up with love and care in a way that you still have love and care left for yourself. And I feel like this goes back to even just like the law of attraction. When we say like attracts like, the frequency of love is very powerful, right? And love attracts love, right? When you have hate, when you have a lot of self hate, a lot of self despair, you also attract that, right? And that's why, even sometimes when you're trying to give to other people, it feels so, you start having so much resentment and you start holding it against them because you're like, I gave you all of this and this what you can do. The love that you're pouring into other people is surrounded by a lot of resentment when you have a lot of self-hate, because you then feel like you're giving more than you can give, right? Should we just end it there? I feel like I feel like we should, and I feel like those two things, those two realizations for me have completely changed how I think about self-love and how I pour into myself. Like, if love is the most powerful force in the universe, and this was also said in Albert Einstein's letter, you should go read it actually. And he's just talking about how love is the most powerful force in the universe. And for me, it was just a realization of, if love is so powerful, imagine how powerful it is as you love yourself, because we don't talk about that much. We don't talk about self-love that much. It's just as powerful when you give it to yourself. And it also gives you the power to love other people so abundantly. And that's what's so amazing about it. So yeah, that's been episode 2. I hope you enjoyed it. Tell me your thoughts, because I do really want to know your thoughts. And tell me what you think. We're going to talk a lot more about self-love and even just how to show yourself love, even on the days when you can't, in the next episodes, because February is all about love, and we're going to talk, so much about love, and I'm so excited. So yeah, thank you so much for joining me on this episode. That was SOS. Thank you for tuning in, and see you in the next one. Bye.